Hello. This is a quick introduction to the University of Mississippi Libraries site. In order to access the University of Mississippi Libraries site, you need to go to libraries.olemiss.edu. It's libraries plural with an S. Here you can see the University of Mississippi Libraries page. In order to reach useful content, you're going to want to scroll past the definition of a library, scroll past this photograph of a library, until you get to here. You will notice as you scroll that this button follows you that says Chat with Us. Clicking on this button will allow you to chat with a librarian in real time. You can enter a question here, and the responses will appear here with an audible ping if you have your sound turned on. This is not an AI chatbot. This is a real librarian. The frequently asked questions are available here if the chatbot is not online. You can see the hours of our chat here. So in this case, today, there will be a live librarian chatting from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. You can see days in the future by looking at the full calendar here. In order to search in the library, you have several different options. One search is the default option. It attempts to search several different sources of articles, books, and other information at once. This will include books, ebooks, scholarly journals, newspapers, and a large number of other types of materials. The catalog here will search some materials that are strictly limited to books, ebooks, CDs, DVDs, a few periodicals like that. Generally speaking, one search will link you to the catalog when necessary. There is also an archives search here. If you wish to use this, I would strongly recommend seeking a librarian or an archivist's assistance. There is also a Google Scholar tab here that takes you to a version of Google Scholar that attempts to ascertain which articles within Google Scholar we have full text access to. In order to search, you simply type in something here. You can see some previous searches that have been done. We'll go ahead and search for something very simple. Generally speaking, you'll want your search to be relatively simple, just a few words. The system doesn't react well to searches that are in the form of a question or that are too complex. Remember, you can always add or remove complexity if your search doesn't bring anything back. This pane over here is designed for accessibility. If you need assistance because you have difficulty hearing or seeing, you can use the document converter here. Otherwise, it is safe to collapse this in order to give you more real estate. Here you can see that we have about 6.3 million results for college football, which, considering that we're an SEC school, is hardly surprising. The results are shown here, and on the left, you also have some search refinements that you could use. This first group allows you to do some very quick and simple refinements that our students and other patrons find to be useful. You can limit items to full text online so you only get items that are immediately readable, so no physical books or other physical items. You can limit yourself to peer-reviewed items, ebooks, or print books. You can also limit yourself by content type. In this case, you can see that we have newspaper articles, newsletters, magazine articles, journal articles, books and ebooks, and more. Finally, you can limit by publication date. I only recommend using this if you are having difficulty with items that are too far out of date. A good rule of thumb is if the article is older than you are, you may want to consider using a slightly more up-to-date source. When I do limit by publication date, I normally will use 10 years. I only recommend using 5 or 3 years if it is a very recent event. For instance, the 2024 election. So let's go ahead and limit this search. Let's say that I'm interested in finding scholarly, peer-reviewed journal articles from within the last 10 years about college football. To do that, I would click on Full Text Online. Journal article. And then finally, 10 years. And in this case, you can see that we have now limited ourselves to 22,900 results. Still, probably too many, but we can at least get an idea of what types of scholarship are out there, and we can see what people are writing about within the realm of college football and maybe get some ideas about what we could search for further. In this case, you can see that the first result is from the Journal of the American Medical Association Neurology from 2021, and it's talking about concussion and repetitive head injuries from football players. If you want to view this item, there are several options available. Ordinarily, if a PDF is available, that is the one that I recommend. There will be a brief delay as it loads, and then you'll have the article available for you to read here. The nice thing about this is that as a PDF file, you can download it and save it to your computer and keep it if you're worried about having access to it in the future. It's also worth noting that since we've limited these articles to scholarly and peer-reviewed journals, most of them are going to have a list of references. If you want, you can look for these references within OneSearch as well. The easiest way to do that is simply to copy the title and put it back into OneSearch as a new search. You can also try using hyperlinks if they have them. Next to each item here, there are a number of little icons that you'll find useful. First of all, this little bookmark icon allows you to temporarily save the item to a folder. As you can see, I've saved the item to my folder, and if I want to sign in with my Ole Miss web ID, I can save a permanent folder that is unique to me. Otherwise, the folder's contents will be routinely emptied. This item allows me to get a permanent link. These links are generally very long and cumbersome. I don't recommend using them, but they're there if you want them. These quote marks allow you to generate a citation for this item. You can choose from a number of different citation styles. Some of the more popular ones include APA, as you can see here. And we also have MLA and several others. This envelope icon allows you to email this article to yourself. What you will get in this case is a link to the full text of the article. You can also, if you like, generate a citation here. Looking down further, you can see an article from the Journal of Sports Economics about integrating college football in the South, something that's very relevant to the University of Mississippi. We can see a lot of other articles here talking about neurology, college football tickets, all interesting topics. Now, let's say that we wanted to narrow our search to a specific topic that we have found. So, for instance, if we wanted to look for integration, we can add that to our search. And you can see that that takes us down to only 313 results. It also carries over all of the limits that we already had. Full text online, journal article, 10 years. You can dismiss any of these by clicking on this X here or unchecking them. It's also important to note that some terms like integration may be used differently in different articles. In this case, you can see this article is talking about the integration of sports and education rather than integration in the sense that we would mean at the University of Mississippi. You can also see people talking about gender integration, which is an interesting topic in and of itself, but perhaps outside the purview of what we're specifically looking for here. If you like, you can change it on the fly. And every time you do, all of your search results will carry forward. See, we've got the same three here. All right. If we look here, we have 5 saved items. Now, each of these is on a different topic. So this would be most useful if we were interested in writing about college football, but we're not exactly sure which approach that we should take about it. We could then look at the individual articles and see if any of them interests us. So what I can do here is send an email containing all 5 of these articles at once. If I want to, I can generate citations for all of them. And these individual links will lead you back to the articles in the email. It's important to note that you can generate an email like this even if the item is not available online in full text. For instance, a physical book or a journal article to which the library does not have access. The email will generate, but you won't necessarily have a full text link. But since we've limited ourselves to full text in this case, that's very unlikely. I can then email it. You can enter your email address here, and you must include a message before emailing. It is absolutely essential to ensure that the email sends properly. So I will enter a message here. As you can see, it does not have to be anything that is related to our research, and then I will send it. It will occasionally take a moment, but once it's sent, you should get that in your email within a matter of moments. If I remove all of these limits and set it to print books at UM libraries, OneSearch will allow me to look at a variety of physical and also ebooks. So in this case, if I wanted to look at one of these books, I can click on this link here, and that will take me into the library catalog. It will give me the call number, which is very important, the title, its location, in this case it's in the main library, and there will also usually be a location here. In this case, we can see that it's on the 3rd floor where most of our sports books are. Clicking on 3rd floor will give us a map of the 3rd floor. We can then match the first letter or 2 of the call number, in this case GV, to the map. In this case, we can see GV is right here. If you have any difficulty finding a book, you can always ask the library chat, or you can ask someone at one of our service desks within the library. Please note that if an item is checked out, it will indicate that here, physical items can be recalled. You're going to need the assistance of a librarian or a library worker for that, generally speaking. In order to return to the University of Mississippi Libraries page at any time, you simply click the icon in the upper left, like so. There are several other places where you can find information in addition to OneSearch. For instance, if you know the name of one of the databases that OneSearch pulls its information from, you can go straight there without the need for intermediation. You can do that with the databases link right here. For example, if we decided that we wanted to look at the database JSTOR, we would simply click on J, and then we would find it alphabetically here. And this link would allow us to access it and begin searching it. Many students find a particularly useful database to be Statista, which we can find here under S. Statista is a statistics-based database that includes information from a variety of primary and secondary sources, presenting them in a useful and easy-to-use fashion. So, for instance, if we were still interested in the search for college football, it will give us a number of statistics. There are 3 different types of items that you can get as a result of your search. First is an individual statistic. For instance, this is college football interest in the US from 2025 by gender. Here you can see the statistic, looking at both male and females to see if they are top, somewhat, not very, or not at all fans of college football. You can also see where the information came from if you'd like to follow up on that. You can download this graphic in a number of different formats. And there's also the option to generate citations here. Please keep in mind that a number of web browsers will not display these citations correctly, meaning that you will have to cite them manually. You can consult your instructor for more information. The second type of information is a report. We can see one here. A report essentially gathers together a large number of statistics, and then you can download it and read it like a book, although the individual pages are more like PowerPoint slides than they are a book. If we were to download this one, you can see here, it gives us a number of statistics, a table of contents, all sorts of good information. This can be extremely useful for a wide variety of research papers. There is finally the topic. And what this does is it gathers together a number of different topics. And you can see we have a number of different statistics about the NCAA, student athletes, and what have you. You may notice that these individually match the statistics that we were able to download as part of our report. That's generally how this works. If you'd like to click on any of these to look at it, you can see it here. In addition to going to the databases directly, we have options available for people who may wish to explore beyond OneSearch but are not sure what the possibilities are. They may not know which databases there are, and they may not know which subject areas to look in. That's where the research guides come in handy. These guides provide you a number of librarian-curated guides that show you information and resources on a variety of topics. For instance, you can see we have one for business administration right here that is broken into a number of different guides. We have one for business, we have one for marketing, and there are several others. Each guide will show you several different resources. It will show you information about the librarian who is in charge of that subject area so that you can contact them for additional information. And as you can see, in many cases, this will link directly to individual databases. We can see here that Statista is linked. We also have the ability to look at guides for individual courses. They are organized by course number. In this case, for instance, if we were looking for Writing 101, we can see it right here. This lists a number of resources that have been selected by librarians for their usefulness to this course. And you can see that once again, we have Statista in here. Some guides include sub-pages. A good example of that is the Writing 102 guide. This includes a number of sub-guides for the different themes that Writing 102 offers. For instance, we have one for business, food, pop culture, etc. If we were to look at the business guide, we can see here that this is simplified from the overall business guide that we saw a moment ago, designed specifically for users who are at the 100 level. This is a good introduction to business level resources, and then someone can graduate to using the full-on business guide later on in their academic career. Of course, if you want to tackle the business guide first, there's nothing wrong with that. These are just options that we offer. In some cases, your instructor may integrate the course guide that the library has developed into your Blackboard, and you can access it directly from there. In other cases, you'll have to come here and access it manually, as I have shown you. So that is a basic overview of how to find things within the library using OneSearch, individual databases, or the research guides. Again, if you encounter any difficulties, I strongly urge you to chat with us here. Like I said, it's not a chat bot. It is a live person, so they will be able to assist you depending on your individual problem. Please feel free to also approach any librarians you see in person in the library during our normal operating hours. Library staff at our service desks are also happy to assist you. And if you need our assistance after hours, the FAQ will include a phone number as well as an email address that you can use to get a hold of us. Please do not worry about bothering a librarian or interrupting their important work. It's very important for you to remember that you, students and researchers, are the reason why we're here. Supporting you is our important work. And we are perfectly willing to pause whatever we're doing to help you out. It is quite literally our job. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. If this video was recommended to you by an instructor, you can contact your instructor for additional information. And we look forward to seeing you here in the J.D. Williams Library, either physically or online.